Hi, everyone. Hello and welcome. We're so glad you could join us for today's webinar, How an EQMS Drives ISO 9001 Success. I'm excited to have Shanna Bremer join us today. Shanna is a continuous improvement specialist at RR Donnelley. Welcome, Shanna, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Good to be here.
And I'm Jennifer Bianchini. I'm a senior product marketing manager at ETQ. So let's take a quick look at the agenda. First, we'll go over some of the quality management challenges that can occur. Then, they can happen all the time, or it's a one off that is critical to your organization's bottom line. And then there is what you should take into consideration when assessing an EQMS. Then Shanna will share how RR Donnelley leveraged their EQMS to streamline training, processes, and audits for 9000 and ISO 9001 success. And then we'll do a quick wrap up. So we'll have plenty of time to answer your questions. So if there's a little question Q&A box on the bottom of your screen, just go ahead and click in there and pop in any questions that might come up during the presentation. And don't be shy. This time is for you, helping you to be a quality champion. So let's dive in, shall we? Okay, so first I'd like to kick things off with a quick poll question. What is your biggest ISO 9001 headache? ISO 9001 compliance, it can feel like a never-ending climb. So we'd love to hear from you which part of the compliance journey challenges you the most. So taking a look at our options here, is it finding the latest version of document control? We all know how frustrating that can be. Or is it prepping for an audit? Or maybe it's managing CAPAs? Or is it training for demonstrating compliance where, you have to make sure everyone is up to date on their training? Or you're going all in, it's all of the above, or you're not sure. And that's okay because we're all here to learn. So we'll give it about another second or two and we'll see what the results are. Okay, let's see what we got. What are the results? Okay. Oh no, all of the above. I didn't scroll down far enough. Okay, all right. Well, everyone, you are in the right place. This is very insightful. So thank you for doing that for me. I appreciate it. And I'm going to close this out so I can see my screen. And we are going to jump on in and get to this. So thanks, everyone. All right. Okay, so let's break this down and take a look at some of the common challenges we see with our customers, and maybe you are facing them as well. So there's manual systems, and here we're talking about paper. Information is stuck in filing cabinets. It's not accessible to everyone who needs it when they need it. And then there's siloed systems. So this is where everything from spreadsheets to SharePoint, the information is stored there. It's hard to find, and it's limited in regards of integration with other business systems. Next, there is not having visibility you need into the data that you have. So it's difficult to spot quality trends or provide management reporting. And then there's inefficiency. So to sum it up, as one customer told us, I just want to store the document. So systems are not flexible, they're not user friendly. And then wrapping this up, version control issues. So you might have multiple versions of a document floating around, and there isn't an easy way to know which one is the correct and most up to date version. So these are just a few examples, but overall, all of them make quality processes frustrating and inefficient. But there's a better way, and it's a quality management system. So let's talk about building a game plan for an EQMS. Next slide, please. All right. So I've mentioned it a couple times already. I'm sure many of you know ISO 9001. It's the most widely accepted QMS framework, and it helps to improve customer satisfaction by driving consistent quality guided by its 7 principles. So you can think of these principles as your roadmap for when you're assessing a QMS. They make quality a company wide priority, not just a quality department responsibility. So let's start with taking a look at customer focus. You'll want to be a customer centric organization to build satisfaction and loyalty. Looking at leadership, for this, your leadership will want to align purpose and direction and create an environment where people can achieve their quality goals. Then there is engagement of people. You'll want to ensure staff feels valued and they understand their role and can communicate openly. So you have that back and forth, open loop of communication. Next is process approach. Here, it's about using consistent, interconnected processes for predictable results. And don't forget to look for improvements along the way. So you'll want to focus on continuous improvement, root cause analysis, and innovation to stay agile. And then making decisions grounded in data, not assumptions. So using evidence based decision making. And then rounding this up, relationship management. So extend quality to your partners and your suppliers to increase customer value. So these 7 principles, they're practical and they're a proven guide to begin your QMS journey. Okay, next slide, please. All right, we've got that good foundation now of ISO 9001, the 7 principles. So now you can start mapping out your journey for a quality management system. We recommend breaking it down into 4 doable steps. So, it doesn't seem like this huge, daunting project that you have. So, the first step, let's take a look at, is assessing your current state. So, review how quality is managed today. Where do the documents live? How are changes communicated? And the error rates. Don't forget to identify opportunities for automation and system integration into your ERP or CRM or other business units you're leveraging. And make sure to capture what is working well because you're going to want to build upon that. The second step is determining your needs, your organization needs. So here, you are really going to be the quality champion. So you're going to put that quality hat on and you're going to share the findings across departments. And while doing this, you're going to gather feedback on how these other teams are managing quality today. And then with this, you can now build a blueprint for an EQMS that shows how quality delivers strategic value across your organization. Okay, next, the third step is setting your priorities and goals. So here you're going to define what success looks like for the short term wins and then the long term scalability goals. Make sure to prioritize your KPIs for document control, CAPA, supplier quality, whichever one is the most important for your organization and for quality management success. And then you'll want to evaluate a QMS option that will scale with your organization and automates effectively. And then the final step here is building the business case. So, how do you do that? You're going to present the ROI clearly to leadership, and you're going to focus on hard cost savings. And don't forget to show what the risk is if your organization does not invest in a quality management system. So engage with the key stakeholders, either your CFO, your COO, or IT, head of IT, for example. And during this engagement and these conversations, you're going to focus on the bottom line impact of quality throughout your organization. Okay, next slide. All right, now I'm super excited to turn it over to Shanna. I'm really looking forward to hear how RR Donnelley, their quality journey to ISO 9001 success. All right, Shanna, over to you.
You guys can hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Great. Hello, welcome everybody. I'm so very honored to have invited to share my quality journey with all of you. Couple notes about your presenter, me. This is my first time delivering a presentation like this to unidentified masses. You will also find that I am a bit animated. When I present, I use my hands, my eyebrows, my smirks to visually convey messages. I also move my hair around and shift my seat position from side to side quite frequently. I have a personality, and I don't shy away from conveying it even in professional situations like this. But now that I've delivered those very personal disclaimers, all this nervousness that I had literally just fell to the side. Whew. Okay, so who am I? I'm Shanna, like banana. I've been with RRD for 19 plus years, the majority of which I've served as the continuous improvement specialist for the commercial print facility located in West Bend, Wisconsin. I joined the organization back in March of 2006. At that time, the position I was filling was a completely new role for the West Bend location. I was going to be their direct mailing specialist. The assignment, develop and implement a functional mailing department into the existing West Bend offerings. They didn't do mail before. I was coming in to make them a place that could do mail. So when I joined West Bend, it was already an ISO certified facility. So West Bend had a functioning QMS in place from which I could work within. I should also point out that coming from a mom and pop print shop before that, even the term QMS was completely foreign to me. So have a personal journey, essentially, right? But as I was integrating new mailing processes into their existing SOPs, I very quickly began to understand and appreciate the concepts of having clear inputs and outputs to each process. I also joined West Bend's internal audit team, which provided me with even deeper understanding of how ISO 9001 drove our QMS and ultimately why we chose to have our QMS aligned with it altogether. At that point, I was completely hooked. ISO and QMS were like everything to me. So when ETQ was implemented within RRD several years later, I very quickly became its biggest cheerleader, recognizing all that it had to offer. Leaping forward to today, in addition to being a CI specialist and leading the CP Apps team, I also serve as a member of RRD's ETQ leadership team. We get together on a monthly basis to evaluate proposed modifications to ETQ and consider how these could or would benefit the entire organization. I've also become one of the primary resources, along with a couple teammates within RRD to provide ETQ support down at the operations level. Plus, ETQ is frankly my favorite topic. And I just love getting folks at other locations super excited about how they're going to benefit from everything that it has to offer. Okay, that's enough about me. So I work at RR Donnelley, or RRD. RRD is a complete marketing and communications partner. For over 160 years, we've helped the world's most respected brands connect with their audiences and achieve success across the entire customer journey. We have global reach with local expertise, 175 plus locations across 30 different countries with 35,000 plus employees and over 17,000 clients. We're trusted for our innovations. We deliver positive impact at every stage, from ground floor strategies and execution all the way through packaging and post-delivery services. And we strive to deliver solutions and simplify processes for our clients. Further, we are a corporation built upon acquisitions. And as a result, we've become the largest print and communication solution in the world. This largeness is a benefit for RD within the marketplace, but it does come with its hurdles, which I'll speak to in a bit. Of our 175 locations, they're all distributed across 8 different manufacturing divisions like commercial print, direct marketing, forms, labels, packaging, etc. The commercial print platform is the largest within RD, today made up of 44 sites. And this is also the platform that I am a member of. Next. Okay, so a brief history of QMS at my plant in West Bend, Wisconsin. Excuse me. West Bend has had QMS on the brain for much longer than my employment with the organization. It's in our blood, from top leadership all the way down through the back end processes. Somewhere around 1998, we began servicing a handful of clients in the medical device manufacturing space. So FDA regulated type products, right? We refer to it as CGMP processes that we employ. Since then, we've grown to become one of the leading R&D facilities approved to manufacture CGMP work for the sensitive client needs within this space. And that is a space focused on patient safety first. So through partnership and collaboration with our clients, our QMS has developed to encompass the unique requirements of basically any client in this space. The QMS standards applied to the CGMP clients have been applied to all of our manufacturing processes. And as a result, over the years, this med device space now makes up more than 50% of West Bend's total revenue. Next. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about RRD's global quality journey. When ETQ was rolled out by RRD Quality Fairs back in 2012, it was a major step by the organization to begin the path towards a universal method for managing and capturing EQMS-related data. Having a centralized collection of CAPA root causes, problem categories, spoilage costs, etc., the scale from which data could be leveraged to optimize processes and leverage technology was now in our hands. I should point out, prior to ETQ, RRD was already sustaining a global QMS for well over a decade across all of our platforms and divisions. But also prior to ETQ, management of that was rather manual. Local servers, binders of information, manual records, etc., as I imagine it might have been for some of your organizations. So at the time, when we started with ETQ, most of the RRD facilities were already ISO 9001 certified. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. We started with the implementation of doc control and the CAPA modules. All sites were expected to load their QMS documents in ETQ. All sites were required to manage CAPAs, both for manufacturing issues and for audit findings within ETQ. And all employees were expected to maintain access so they'd always have the most current revision of their QMS documents at their fingertips. Now, like I mentioned before, there were some hurdles with this original initiative over the next few years. One, not all employees, and actually most employees, are equipped with an IT network credential. So maintaining access to ETQ was a bit of a challenge. Our IT policy requires that passwords are changed every 60 days, for example. But most employees don't actually need to refer to their SOPs that often. Once they know what they're doing, why go back? So they get booted out of ETQ and they'd have to reestablish credentials. Then in 2013, RRD acquired CGX, which is a printing company made up of 65 plus manufacturing locations. Eventually, those 8 divisions or platforms that I mentioned, they became responsible themselves for maintaining adherence to the QMS objectives that best suited their unique service offerings. RRD journey done. All right. Next slide, sorry. So today, I primarily want to highlight the journey and the significant achievements that have been made within the commercial print platform, evolving from a group of 12 ISO certified facilities to a platform of more than 60 sites, many of which operating under their own rules. And then ultimately how ETQ has been and will be instrumental in bringing this bunch together under the same EQMS. So remember back when I said in 2013, we acquired all those CGX facilities, 55 of them were added to the commercial print platform. Previously, 13 sites ISO certified. With the exception of 2 of those CGX sites, none of them had anything in place resembling a QMS. So the question became, how do we manage a platform QMS now? Kind of felt like we were going backwards in time a little bit. So just for your understanding, little hierarchy of how commercial print is structured. We've got a platform president on top, followed by a senior VP over operations, a group VP over systems and standardization, that's my boss, and then a platform quality lead who supports that GVP with all things QMS related within the entire commercial print platform. Then down at the site level, every site is expected to have a designated site quality lead. So let's dive into this journey. And let me point out, today we're sitting at about 75% completion overall towards our goal, right? So ETQ's played a significant role in getting us to this point, and we know it's going to be very significant to get us to the finish line. In 2016, we began converting those CGX sites onto our core MIS systems, the systems for estimating, order entry, scheduling, shop floor data collection, etc. System conversions would continue through 2022. Initially, those conversions were managed by RRD IT groups without any real focus on standardization site to site. Then in late 2018, that GVP of systems and standardization assembled a remarkable team of 12 individuals known as the Commercial Print Applications and Process Support Team, or CPAPS for short, and that's all you'll hear me say going forward. Its initial mission was to ensure that any future CGX conversions, there's still a lot to be done at this point, that they'd be converted onto the systems adhering to the most efficient and standardized methods for using the core systems, cutting out customization. Let's do it the way it's designed to be done, right? Then when COVID hit in 2020, conversions were halted. Nobody was traveling. The CPAPS team took advantage of the break to formally document business process requirements, or BPRs, for each of those key processes facilitated within our core systems. So it's like estimating through shipping and invoicing. These are rolled out to all the CP sites in 2021 with the expectation of full adoption. Excuse me. In 2023, now the system conversions were completed, the CPAPS team went out and visited all 34 sites at the time to audit them against the BPRs. But I want to point out, these weren't the kind of audits that were fully, focused just on adherence to the requirements. It's kind of the flip side, actually. We weren't issuing majors and minors and leaving it for the site to figure out how to correct their behaviors. Instead, the audits were a great opportunity for the apps team to look very closely at how each operation was managing the inputs and outputs of each area. In many cases, a click-by-click review of whether systems were used in the most efficient way, or if somehow over time the site had unknowingly adopted unnecessary and time-consuming habits. So the audits were widely praised by site leadership because they not only helped the sites recognize loads of inefficiencies that they could immediately drive out of their current practices, but they also demonstrated the level of commitment and investment that commercial print senior leadership team was making to support all its sites and focus on continual improvement overall. The apps team repeated site audits again in 2024, But this time, we sprinkled in some QMS spin to the assessments that we did. Sites that were ISO certified were also assessed against the 9001 standard. Sites manufacturing or storing cGMP products were also assessed against the FDA QSR requirements. This add-on allowed the apps team and commercial print senior leadership to get a really good sense for where the entire platform stood with respect to QMS adoption and implementation. Now, for 2025, CPAP's team goal is to achieve full commercial print QMS adoption at all 44 of our sites by the end of this year. And on the next slide, I'm going to illustrate how we intend to accomplish that. Okay, give me a chance to break this all down. So in commercial print, actually within all of RRD, but we're only focused on commercial print, there are essentially 4 different tiers that each site may fall into, and many sites fall into more than one, in fact. So tier 1, excuse me, the basics that apply to all sites, regardless of the requirements in higher tiers. Everyone is governed by the quality policy and quality manual. Everyone has to adhere to those original BPRs around utilization of the core MIS systems. Then we get to tier 2, which is the sites that are ISO certified. And this tier establishes the baseline for the subsequent tiers. Tier 3, these are sites that manufacture or store FDA-regulated products. Think pharma, med device, cannabis, food contact spaces. There are some very specific requirements here around cleanliness, pest control, building security, line clearance, etc. And then tier 4, this is for the sites that are involved in handling confidential and personal privacy information like HIPAA, CMS, healthcare, financial stuff, your bank statements, essentially. Otherwise referred to as SOC 2+. And at this level, you start getting into much stricter controls around IT data management, enhanced surveillance and security, etc. In 2024, CP senior leadership established the following expectation. Any site operating in the tier 2 through 4 space must maintain a QMS that's aligned with the ISO 9001 standard, even if you're not actually certified to it. Basically, if you're going to operate in a space that requires that much attention to a detail, you're going to have a QMS. So in the background, the CPAPS team was already developing comprehensive platform QMS that contained all of the necessary QMPs, SOPs, forms, etc. That's what you see listed on that matrix on the left there. All of this, of course, was done within ETQ's .control module. And these QMS expectations also establish requirements for site utilization of other ETQ modules, such as calibration and maintenance, audits, obviously control, customer feedback, CAPA, etc. Now, we, meaning CPAPS and CP senior leadership, we know that as a platform, we have sites maintaining various levels of a quote-unquote QMS. Some who never even considered having one, some who decided to desert back when ISO updated to 2015 just to avoid the hassle. Many who've been maintaining a QMS in ETQ for years, and others who are kind of in the middle, maintaining a similar QMS structure, but maybe it's in a Google Drive or physical binders on the shop floor, right? What you see represented in that list in the matrix identifies by the tier level which commercial print QMS requirements apply to each of those tiers. My West Bend site, I'm an ISO certified facility, and I'm also approved to manufacture cGMP products. So I'm a tier 2 and a tier 3 facility. The other benefit that comes from this visual here is sites can quickly identify what applies to them based on their tiers, but also they can see what additional requirements they would have to adopt should they desire to add on additional tiers to their offerings. And this happens pretty often, right? What we've really come to appreciate about this platform level QMS is that despite the condition of a site's QMS today, we're able to essentially like hand a site a QMS on a platter. Like the facilities themselves won't have to create their own version of alignment with ISO. In fact, we really don't want them to. Um, Many of our clients are serviced by multiple sites within our platform, and a lot even cross over into other RRD divisions as well. But in the end, we are one RRD, and we want our clients to have the same experience and treatment from one facility as they get from the next. Requiring adherence to this platform QMS is another big step towards ensuring that we can meet that objective. I do want to highlight a couple case studies for you that are very recent that kind of prove out how beneficial this is. So the availability of the standardized platform QMS has allowed for 2 of our commercial print sites to be qualified as approved to manufacture or store CGM products. There's a process for this. You don't just get to do it. Our product safety team comes in to make sure that you're set up for success to do that appropriately, to avoid recalls and all that jazz, right? In less than 5 months, we were able to bring them up to speed. Previously, this was a task that could take up to a year or longer for a site, depending on site leadership's focus to their commitment. So significant improvement in how long it took to do that. Right now, we also have 2 sites who are actively working towards ISO 9001 2015 certification. Having an ETQ managed EQMS has allowed this process to also be expedited. Previously, this was something that always took more than 12 months at minimum to accomplish. And now we're able to get it done in less than 8 months or even better. So much quicker to the market with these new opportunities for our sites, right? And that kind of goes back to that like value add scale that I mentioned previously. A site being able to quickly adopt more complex QMS expectations so that they can begin serving a broader market, that's just freaking awesome. Plus sales reps, right? They can confidently boast about the platform QMS, which increases client confidence. Today, we are actively working to achieve full adoption at those sites who aren't already embracing the commercial print QMS. This effort is, of course, supported by my lovely CPAPS team from beginning to end, whether that means providing training on how to properly use ETQ modules or helping site leadership fully grasp the concepts of QMS, like planning for risks, management review, change management, etc. And we're going to continue that cycle that I talked about earlier into next year and beyond with on-site audits, helping sites recognize any gaps in their processes, education, and continually improving QMS culture overall. As I mentioned previously, commercial print is sitting at around 75% achievement, which is amazing considering where we began. Our journey as a platform, of course, will never truly be complete. There's always going to be another step we can take and another opportunity to improve. And that, by definition, is the overall goal, right? Keep continuous improvement at the forefront of all that we do. Well, I truly appreciate you letting me share my bits of personal, organizational, and commercial print platform quality journey. I hope that you've gained some valuable insights on the matter, or at least related personally to your own journey. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shanna. Appreciate you sharing your journey. You had some really great nuggets of information in there. I think everyone got some really great tips. And I really like that saying that you said QMS on a platter. So I think that really helps to visualize how your organization was able to accelerate getting set. I mean, that's really impressive from over a year to 5 months. So those are really good case studies. So thank you for sharing that with everyone today.
ETQ made that so easy because all we had to do was add more locations to the same documents and doc control, and then poof, they were there.
Nice. We always love to hear that. And so speaking of which, I hope I'd like to take a moment now to just share a little bit more about ETQ with our audience members. So as I'm sure you all are aware, there are a lot of phases in the EQMS journey, But no matter where you are in your journey, at ETQ, we're ready to help you. So as you heard from Shanna, we have a very comprehensive, purpose-built EQMS where you can reduce costs, streamline operations, and build compliance into your processes. And this all results in improved efficiency, time to market, and sustainability, including bottom line results. We also offer a wide range of professional services, including managed services, to help you meet your needs at any stage of your quality journey. And as you can see with ETQ, you are in good company. We serve hundreds of customers of all shapes and sizes across many industries, and we apply the learnings and best practices from across all of these industries to provide a unique value to all of our customers. And we've been doing it for over 30 years. We've been empowering quality champions like you to use quality management as a catalyst for business success. And we also aim to be a trusted advisor to our customers. And we'd love to have the opportunity to share our expertise with you. We are also a part of Hexagon, a global leader in sensor, software, and autonomous manufacturing solutions. All right. So thank you for letting me share a little bit more about ETQ with you. We've now reached the part of our webinar for the Q&A. So we'll see what questions have come through the chat. So are you ready, Shanna?
Ready, Freddie?
Okay. So first I have to ask, I noticed you've had a friend in the background.
Oh,
What is your friend's name?
this is Frances. She yelled at me from an end cap at Whole Foods one day while I was returning an Amazon package, and she had to come home with me.
Well, I don't blame you. Francis is very cute. Okay, so I had to ask. All right. Okay, so let's get serious here. Um, okay, so here's a question. They're saying so they work for a small startup that is focused on, and I believe what they're saying here, on a little Q, so Q for quality, um, product quality and conformance, but they're looking to spearhead big Q, so big quality. She wants to start with the ISO 9001 principles and is asking where is a good place to start? So when we talked about the principles, we talked about being customer focused, um, leadership and whatnot. I mean, what do you think from your perspective, Shanna, is the best place to start with ISO 9001 principles?
Um, Today, what I really appreciate, honestly, that makes it a lot easier with the AI features in Google, for example, you can literally ask Google about a segment of ISO and it will explain back to you in layman's terms what that means, right? I've actually been doing this with my team, and we're using some of that information to help sites really grasp what is meant by the various things within it. It took me like 4 years to understand this term, organizational knowledge, which came out with the 2015 standard. I get it now. Um, but you really do need to kind of sit down and think to yourself before you're talking about quality of products. What is it that the mission of your company is? What do you want to do and accomplish? and and what is it you need to get there? So that's kind of the baseline for what the scope of your organization is. And then from there, you can piecemeal it into, okay, in this particular area, if I want to hit this goal, what are the resources? What are the infrastructure? What can I put on paper that says this is what it will look like when it's done? And then how do I address what needs to be done before then?
Yeah, no, I like your answer there. I think it's like any big project, you start with the goal. What
Oh
does
yeah.
everyone want to achieve with their goal?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, I want to add one more thing to
Sure.
that. The biggest part of it is your leadership buy-in. One of the hugest changes between the previous standard and the current standard is that QMS is no longer something that's supposed to be managed by a particular individual or two or small team within an organization. Leadership has 100% responsibility for ensuring all of the resources and all of the necessary knowledge are available in order to get there. So if your leader hasn't yet recognized what the clear return on investment is going to be of having a QMS, you need that in front of you first. Very, very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I think that circles back to when we were talking earlier in the presentation, having your business case,
Mhm.
um, with those hard cost savings and including if you stay doing status quo or if you don't make the investment, then what does that look like? So that's a really good point. Having that stakeholder buy-in, it's really important. Um, okay, let's see. Here's another question that came in. Is there an advantage of using ETQ over existing ERP systems to unite everyone under the current QMS? So I think this means about using some, like I think SAP probably,
Yeah.
I think they have a quality management module. Um,
I've not seen it, but I have heard that, yes. Um, I can't speak specifically to other management systems for QMS. I know that there are several other ones out there. What I really appreciate about ETQ for our organization is it's customizable, right? Like we've built several modules ourselves within ETQ, and I'm aware of other companies who've gone ahead and really dove in and create some very unique solutions within ETQ. My favorite part about it is the centralization and the access. So earlier I mentioned that we have a commercial print platform quality lead, 44 sites across our organization. Those who aren't using ETQ, Sean can't just look and see what's going on at that facility from a quality management perspective. We have a site in Houston, though, right now, whose continuous improvement specialist is out on FMLA. That platform quality lead or myself, we can hop in and serve that facility with their QMS stuff because of the visualization of everything that's going on in there. So that is probably our favorite part about ETQ.
yeah, yeah, I would like to add the harmonization.
Thank you.
So this the central visibility for everyone, having the right information at the right time, and that harmonization within the systems. I mean, I've worked for organizations in the past, like with SAP. I never had an SAP login, so I couldn't tell you what SAP looks like. But with when you bring it all together with a quality management specific um, solution, bringing all the systems together, then you're bringing in that central visibility for everyone. All right.
Jen, you don't happen to remember if SAP's system also offers things like Kappa and non-conforming material and customer complaints and all that jazz, do you?
Um,
Because ETQ does.
yeah,
If
I
yeah.
yes, off of the top of the head, my head, I don't know, but I know with like with any big um, solution like that,
Mhm.
there are usually vendors out there who would offer like an add-on for that,
Mm,
like with Salesforce, so that
gotcha.
would be my guess. So then you're looking at IT costs and adding even more systems and solutions as opposed to having everything centralized in one system. Okay, let's see. And speaking of central harmonization and connecting, here's a question, Shanna. What systems did your EQMS have to integrate with?
Um, Not a lot yet, but we know there's more to come. So for employee management, we have ETQ directly integrated with PeopleSoft. So every night at midnight, a load from PeopleSoft gets sent down. People who have joined the organization or have left the organization, they're automatically loaded into the enterprise configuration center so that they can then be managed down to the facilities that they work at. For customer feedback and just customer information in general, it's tied to our proprietary ERP, which is called Wix. Every new customer that gets added to our system, same workflow every night. They're pushed into ETQ. So when we're doing things like CAPAs and non-conforming material reports and customer compliments, which I also love about ETQ, we can actually say exactly which customer that information is associated with. And then we've also started pulling data from, some scripted Google Sheets for things like air emissions tracking. And we're working on, once we get past the next upgrade, pushing data out from ETQ to some of our SAP dashboards where we're doing more global reporting, like dollars and spoilage and revenue and things like that. So we want to grab that information from ETQ and push that out.
Great. Thank you. Um, let's see, one more in here. So this person's asking, can you tell me a little bit more about how your quality management system is helping you with centralization and access? Yeah, you talked on this a little bit. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Well, so I'll use commercial print for example. When we only had 13 facilities, 12 of us were ISO certified, and we were on a group certificate, which meant there's a second level of compliance that has to be adhered to, making sure that all of the sites on that cert are standardized and following the same expectations. So that platform quality lead, for example, when the central office is being audited by whoever our registrar is at the time, annually for surveillance or every 3 years for recert, literally from his workstation, he can see directly into all of the sites. We can see all the audits, can see all of their documents, can see all of their CAPAs. It's not an exercise anymore for him to ask every site to give them all of these other things from outside of ETQ so that he has them at hand when he has to perform for the registrar. That's huge. That is
Mhm.
so huge.
Nice. Very helpful to hear that. Okay, and I think this might be our last question here, unless something pops in last minute. We'll wrap it up with this. So, how has your quality management system helped you improve quality with your suppliers?
Mm. So, oh, you know what? That's another thing that we have connected. SAP suppliers also feed
Oh, okay.
into ETQ now that I mention it. So several years ago, I mentioned that there's some customization options within ETQ, right? We built a custom workflow in the corrective and preventive action module to facilitate supplier corrective actions, CAPA or SCARs, right? It takes advantage of the email feature in ETQ and sends an office integrated template of our SCAR directly to the supplier
Okay.
for them to complete. And then when they return it to us, we can actually just load that document right back into the SCAR, and it automatically feeds their root cause analysis, their containment, their short, long-term corrective action right into the document in ETQ. It's very easy and it's standardized. So like I think it was probably around 2021 when we developed that. I just took a look a couple of weeks ago and over 400 and some SCARs have been issued, right? So that's again back to that visualization. Who are we seeing problems with? What kind of problems are they? We can make better business decisions about things like that because we understand how our supplier base is functioning for us.
Nice. I like that. You able to load it right into the system and you get the information. That's really, really talk about automation and cutting down manual processes. Okay, so I think this. All right, someone did sneak in one last question, but I think so. This is: does your company provide training on electronic QMS? So I'm not sure if this is for me or for you, Shanna, but let's talk about you because you're our guest. So how did you go about training everyone um, for using the quality management system?
So when it first rolled out, there was some very, very dedicated training that was conducted by we have an administrative IT team that's supporting ETQ in the background, right? Best people in the world. Um, as an organization, because we had a lot of sites that we were putting onto this platform all at one time, that was, weeks and months of training that went to everybody. Now that we've kind of moved focus down into the platform level, that CP apps team that I mentioned, I believe there's a couple of them on this event right now. I developed their knowledge and understanding of how to use ETQ. I also had them partner with my partner at West Bend, who's the other CI specialist there, and had her teach them how to execute within the modules. And over time, like they've become subject matter experts themselves, right? So we're building this additional SME central in our teams so that in turn, when we get requests for support and education, we can deliver it to our sites. And we're going to be doing a whole bunch of that real quick, closing
Mhm.
up this project that we're doing.
Yeah.
I've never been asked to give any training outside of RRD, but you also heard me say cheerleader, so I'm not averse to it.
Well, we'll refrain on that. We
Yeah.
appreciate that. But I do know we offer, so we have a couple of different ways for training customers when they're onboarding. We do go through like we workshop and we have consultants, but we also have offer a lot of self-learning um, sessions for our customers in our community. And we also have something called Academy Live. So there's, however your organization decides on the best method of training, we have all the options available. All right. So that is it for the questions that have come in. Thank you so much, Shanna, for joining us today. Really appreciate hearing your story and the enthusiasm and you know what, your vulnerability about being open about speaking. How nerve wracking it can just be sometimes. So thank you for opening up with that. Appreciate it.
That's
and
great.
and thank you everyone for joining us today. Hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. Thanks so much.